morning, guys. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I got up today and I decided I wanted to talk for 1 second about some of this stuff going on with reparations. I just have more thoughts on how I feel about the hearings. In case you don't know, there are these interesting, some would say historic hearings on reparations that took place last week that featured people like Danny Glover, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and some others. I think that obviously, the hearings like this, need to happen. They should have happened a long time ago. I think that the degree of disrespect toward Black people is pretty unprecedented, in terms of historically how badly this country has treated African Americans and people, of African heritage. And what I'll say is that, if you're a descendant of slaves, I guess these hearings are better than nothing, but really these hearings should have probably happened 100 years ago. And also the interesting thing about the hearings is that the hearings don't really show a genuine desire, a genuine level of interest on the part of the Democratic Party to really do the right thing. It's one thing when somebody pays a debt to you or does the right thing, and they do it under their own free will, at a random time. It's another thing when they only do the right thing when they are trying to get your vote. When it's right before the 2020 elections, and because they are mortified that Donald Trump's going to get reelected, suddenly it's like, okay, Black people need this reparations thing to happen. Let's hold some hearings. Hearings, I don't think, hearings are hard to trust because hearings are, a lot of times it's just a show. It's just a circus. I think about when Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook went in front of Congress and they had the big hearings, and then nothing really sort of came of that. There's no sort of requirement that says, because there were hearings, this is going to change, this is going to change, this law is going to pass, etc. None of that. And I think in this case, you're going to see the same thing. I think that the reason that they're committing to study reparations is because that's the best you're going to get. That's the most you're going to get out of a Congress that historically hasn't had any reason to care much about Black people or Black voters. Because in this particular case, in terms of the hearts of those who are in Congress, I think even the people who agree with reparations have an issue, a racism issue, where they only feel that Black people deserve so much, or their only interest in doing something for Black people really comes down to whether or not they can do something for Black people while they're also doing something for white people. So that's why, with the reparations conversation, you're not going to talk about just reparations for slavery. Even the New York Times has already begun to talk about reparations for people in the LGBT community. And which actually gets to my next point. The reason that you see people making these silly arguments like, well, if Black people deserve reparations, then gay people, immigrants, everybody else deserves reparations. The reason these arguments don't have validity is because you don't have important people in the conversation like Dr. Claude Anderson, who wrote books like Powernomics, where Dr. Anderson, explains pretty clearly that the reason reparations are owed to Black people in particular is because Black people can specifically be shown as being a source of economic gain and growth for other people. Black people weren't just mistreated. That right there might deserve a penalty. That might double the amount, of reparations for pain and suffering. But there were specific dollar amounts of wealth extracted from the Black community, going, all the way from, literally millions of hours, millions of man and woman hours of free labor, all the way down to stolen property, stolen opportunities. The inability, the stolen right to participate in the growth, the economic growth of America that took place as a result of slavery. Labor is wealth, and they took our wealth from us, by force. And so that conversation isn't being had because, the Democrats tend to be heavily focused on social issues, how you treat Black people, following the Black man around in the mall because you think he might steal a pair of shoes, or the old white lady clutched her purse because, she doesn't like Black people and this is hatred and it has to go away. They get caught up in those things, these fluffy things that don't matter. what matters in America is wealth. You know, the power in America is driven by wealth. And until black people understand that, until we get that through our thick heads, we're going to always find ourselves looking really ridiculous in these conversations, because what you're doing is you're trying to get people to feel sorry for you. And by getting them to feel sorry for you, you're hoping that they'll give you, a little donation. And a donation is never even close to the amount of wealth that you can extract by engaging in relevant, meaningful trade. When you are able to negotiate firmly and develop a trade mechanism, then you get a whole lot more wealth than you can by getting charity. An example might be, if I'm a businessman, or let's say I'm not a businessman and I become a beggar, and I say, hey, can you feel sorry for me and give me whatever's in your pocket? Well, you might give me a quarter, you might give me $1, you might give me 85 cents. But if I reposition myself as a businessman and I negotiate firmly, and you come in my store and you say, I want, you guys make the best ice cream. I want some ice cream for my kids. I'm gonna say, okay, that'll be $8.45 for the three of you, right? And if you say, well, no, I don't think I think that's too much, I don't think that's right, then I can say, okay, well, thank you, but kindly get the hell up out of my store and we can go. So the point is that if I'm doing business with you and I'm positioning myself in a way where I can say no to you, where I'm firmly dealing with you, where I'm truly a player in the game, then I can get more wealth for myself than I can if I'm just sitting there as a beggar, where I can only get something if you approve of it. You see, the thing about these hearings in Congress is that all those experts, that so-called experts that were up there, who really weren't experts, none of those people were experts in terms of people that have really studied reparations over, say, a 30, 40-year period. You got people like Dr. Claude Anderson, Ron Daniels, even Julianne Malveaux, others who are right there. All of them are right there in D.C. or near D.C. and could easily pop on, drive down the street and be at the hearings. But why are those individuals not invited? Well, because you have hearings that only happen if the people speaking on behalf of black people are those who have been approved by white people. You can't have a hearing like that. You can't have, if you think of it as a prosecution, you can't have a prosecution where the defense attorney and the prosecutors must all be approved by the person who's being accused of the crime, right? You can't have that. It's not going to work. It's going to be a sham. And the thing is that for black people, and the fundamental idea that you must understand, black people, is that because you have not, put your energy into position yourselves as a true economic player in America, you have remained an economic pawn. You are not moving pieces on the chessboard. You are a piece on the chessboard. So the fact that you're a pawn is exemplified by the fact that these hearings, the only people allowed to speak on behalf of black people are those that are pre-approved by those who run the white power establishment. Two, as far as, the whole conversation on reparations, this is all happening because they're trying to basically manage and control black people to get black votes. So you're a pawn. They're playing with you. They're saying, okay, we need to get these people excited to vote for us. So what can we do? Well, let's give them a show, because Negroes like a good show. Right? So ultimately, I'm going to say, I like Ta-Nehisi Coates. I think he's fine. I like Danny Glover. I think he's fine. Danny Glover should be, acting. He should be acting and be an activist, which is what he's been doing. I think he's great. Ta-Nehisi should be off writing books. You write for The Atlantic and these white publications. Go do that. That's good. That great for you. Keep doing that. Keep making that money. But in this negotiation, there should be at least a couple of people that are also there speaking who have been selected by the black community, by core members that are actually connected to the community, who care about the community. I think a person like a Louis Farrakhan would be ideal, but again, America doesn't pre-approve Farrakhan. So even though black America pre-approves of Farrakhan, right? So that's what tells you about the power dynamic. How is it that you have one man, if the black America voted, they would support Farrakhan. But if white America votes, they would not support him. So therefore, Farrakhan's not in that equation. So basically, you're having the wrong game being played in the wrong arena, using the wrong rules with the wrong referees. And when that happens, don't be surprised when black people lose, because you have nothing working in your favor to make sure you win the game. So that's it. That was my two cents on the hearings. I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I'm not excited about it. It doesn't inspire me to go vote for anybody. I'll tell you that much. And so anyway, that's it. I'm out of here, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Also, don't forget, I'll be in New Orleans next week. We're doing a business summit, a 2-day business summit, a 48-hour business school. You can go to drboyceneworleans.com to learn more. Also, I'll be in Chicago July 28th. You can go to drboycechicago.com. And the All Black National Convention happens in September. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I'm out of here. Take care. Have a good day. Peace.